Welcome back to Within Reason. We appreciate having you join us tonight. I'm Bill Rankin, and with me is Bob Kerrigan. And Bob has an update on the gas tax. This is an interesting thing. This is the Escambia County gas tax.
Well, we said last week, we talked about the figures from the state, 134 million gallons, which pretty simple math. At 4 cents, you know, the number was well over 5 million, yet the projection is about 4.2 or 3 million, 4.4 maybe. I talked to Amy Lavoie at the county. Let me just talk about 4 women in county government that are really amazingly bright, and we call them all the time to ask them questions. Allison Rogers, the county attorney. Amy Lavoie, who's the head accounting person at the county. Patty Sheldon, the head accounting person in the clerk's office, and Lisa Bruneau in the clerk's office. I mean, just amazing success stories of young women who are just, you know, they're the best. They know tons. And so we always call them, figure out what the heck's going on, so the old white guys can act like we know. In any event, I talked to Amy, and she explained to me that the numbers that come from the state, that 134 million, doesn't mesh exactly with what the county actually receives. And so she gave me some numbers on what the county actually receives. There's some
exemptions.
Some fuel is exempted.
Yeah.
There's a Department of Revenue service charge, or apparently overcharge of some kind. But anyway, the long and short of it is this thing is going to produce about $4.4 million with the current projections. All in all,
this is going to support public transit.
It's dedicated to public transportation, right? And hopefully the bus system and whatever the public transportation might be involved.
Yeah, so, we agree that we need that, and we also agree it's not charity,
well,
because
in fairness,
the government supports every mode of transportation in this country.
It does, and in fairness to the county commission, we blasted them in here before. I think Valentino led on this subject, and responsible people, Grover and others, voted for it because they needed a dedicated source of revenue for the public transportation. Kudos to them, and I think.
And why exempt diesel? I mean, I thought last time, well, maybe it's because, you know, the big trucks can carefully calculate where they stop, and it'll cost business. You got another idea?
Well, here's the problem with that. We did not know at the time. Actually, I credit one of our colleagues at the Pensacola News Journal, because I was calling them, asking them about it. And the state statute, which once I went and read it, I said, well, of course you're right, exempts diesel. So
they can't do it.
Right.
They can't tax diesel.
So what happened, where the fat cat business guys who use all the diesel fuel got the legislature.
They're happy to have a tax on gasoline.
Yeah, they got the legislature to say, hey, you know, carve us out a little exception on this 4 cent person. Now, they pay it on the 6 cents, okay? They pay it on that, but they don't pay it on the 4 cents, okay? So the only people paying on 4 cents are people driving to and from work and others.
What a great example. Now, you hire some lobbyists. Do you think the public is really tuned into the fine points of these? Of course not.
No.
See, Harlan, you go and slip that in, and you know, you put that in the bill, and then we're going to give you a lot of money to get reelected. And think of the money it saves these people.
Huge.
You hire a lobbyist for this much, and you get back this much. I mean, lobbying's a very effective way to make money.
No question about it. 20% of the fuel consumed, 20 to 25%, it's hard, but it's right around 20% of fuel consumed is diesel fuel. So diesel fuel is being exempted. By statute, you can't charge on diesel fuel. So the burden is shifted. And you think about it, who's having the biggest impact on the infrastructure? I mean, it's the operation of big trucks.
It's the big heavy trucks that really
they burn diesel fuel, and they're exempted from that. So we're going to stick the people in the county with this tax, which the only way to change that, Bill, is with the state statutory change. But again, the legislature responds to the people with the cash. And the business people with the cash.
The only way to explain legislation.
One day, one program, I want to just list all of the legislative benefits to the liquor industry. It is staggering. The liquor industry lives in the legislature every year, getting more and more benefits for distributors and sellers of liquor. If the public had a clue how all of this worked, I think they'd be shocked. We need to do a whole program on how the liquor industry has pulled this off in the Florida legislature, because they own the Florida legislature. Liquor industry, they get whatever they want from the Florida legislature. And they have representatives that are literally there. They're not just their lobbyists, but we get people there all the time for the liquor industry. But on this gas tax, the people are going to pay it. average person in the community is going to pay it. Comparing it to Santa Rosa County, it's gas over there is 1 cent cheaper right now. So there's not there's no real reason to go over there and buy the gas.
Not now.
Not now, right? And there's no reason. I'm saying with imposing this tax.
Oh, even if you impose the tax, it's only going to be 1 cent?
I'm going to check back with Amy about that. I thought she said it would be a 1 cent difference, but maybe she means 1 cent right now.
Right, yeah.
Which would mean about 5 cents.
Yeah.
Okay.
You think some people will decide to? I know somebody who said she would.
Well, I think there are a lot
I live in Santa Rosa County. I drive right by a gas station. I'll just get my gas there.
Sure. Well, people who live there are definitely going to continue to buy gas over there. And in the north end, they're just going to go across the bridge into Alabama where it's cheaper.
Yeah. And that was the complaint from Century, that they'd lose business in Florida because people that little short bridge. And there's a gas station right there.
Amy indicated that their consumption numbers have been going down for gas. So we know there's an economic effect. It's kind of, we need Rick Harper to explain all the nuances of it, but for sure consumption goes down. That means that people who sell gas are selling less gas. Right. So and that's 8 cents a gallon profit generally on gas.
Small margin.
Yeah, small margin. Yeah. So they're losing important sources of revenue because the gas tax.
Cars are more efficient.
Cars are more efficient. People are buying better gas mileage cars. All kinds of reasons. Yeah,
that's that's going on.
For consumptions to go down. You know, when we back talking about the county commission, it's not just a matter of criticizing them for everything they do, because I think there's some things like this tax. It was courageous. I think it was courageous to do this because there's a huge backlash now in the community. People are very angry about this guy. Let the poor pay more money for public transportation.
I listened to some of the comments at that commission meeting, and it was ridiculous. They were calling it charity.
Yeah, they are.
It's not. If you've got low-wage employees who have to ride the bus, that's important for the economic health of the community.
And Valentino made a good point when he said, and he's right about this, the Europeans, if you expect to be doing business with them and having them come here, either as tourists or otherwise, they can't even begin to understand why we have such a poor public transportation system, and to abandon it completely, even though it's different in terms of distances.
It's very different.
It's very different. But to abandon it completely, or to shut it down, or to make it where you make the people pay this extraordinary price to ride the bus.
But they
don't get it.
It's hard to have. You know, the European cities basically started hundreds or thousands of years ago, and they're pretty densely clustered. They didn't have this idea of especially when the national highway system came about, the interstate highway system came about in the 50s under Eisenhower. Then you could zip right out to the suburbs, and the dream of people from the cities, I'm going to go out and have a little lawn, and gas was cheap. And now we've got people spread out all over the place.
We do.
And how are you going to have public transportation? I mean, how?
Well, what they're talking about, high-speed rail and some other systems that might eventually supplant the old bus system. But I know here, for example,
I mean, there's loads of public transportation in the Northeast. That's the way you get around.
It is.
My family's in northern New Jersey and New York, and you really don't want to have a car. Public transportation, and it's pretty good. I can get a train from Penn Station down to where my brother lives on the Jersey Shore, and it's a nice train. And with the senior discount, I don't know, it costs like $11.
You were very proud of that senior discount stuff.
Not.
Yeah, you were.
But
I remember this. I remember before you were eligible by age to join AARP, you joined early to get the discounts.
I joined.
I think you were like 45 years old.
No, I was a legitimate member. They'll let you join AARP at 50, and I've been over 50 for a long, long time. I've been over 50 since way back when your memory was good.
So,
no, we were staying at this resort in Vermont, and they gave an AARP discount. So I joined. I gave them $8. I got the discount, and I didn't do it.
You were proud of that day too. I remember seeing
it. Wasn't all that.
It was like you were 50 years old in one day, and you had that thing Federal Expressed off to join AARP. You know,
saved me a lot of money.
I still don't. I refuse to join AARP.
Well, I don't join AARP now.
You don't? Oh.
I don't like their political stance.
Oh, that's right. They're very liberal, aren't they? You don't like that.
No, it isn't that. It's that the old people already get all the benefits. The old people have all the money, and they are. We need to modify entitlements. We need to modify Medicare, and the AARP is going to rise up against that with all their gray-haired voters, and it's bad for the country. I don't like their legislative stances.
So let me see. You don't you at one time
But
agreed
if I could spend $8 and these people would give me a big discount, what's wrong with that, morally or legally?
Well, I'm just trying to
got a
determine
discount.
where you draw the line
Legally.
on your political views. I mean, if your political views conflict with $8, then apparently you dump them and you.
Well, it would depend. It would depend on. It would have to be a substantial discount.
Okay.
No.
But do you?
Alex say, it's a balancing test. I mean, I don't want to be doctrinaire about it.
No.
Like the people who never ate grapes anymore after Cesar Chavez. He's probably dead now. They still don't eat grapes. Yeah. I don't want to cut off my various members of my body for some political stance. It wasn't that important.
Do you stand? What do you stand for on this AARP versus your political views? Where are you today? I mean, today, where did you find
I need
yourself?
an even bigger discount. I've kind of hardened up my view. Yeah.
Okay.
If I could spend $8 and get like a $300 discount, I'd do that today.
Yeah.
But maybe for $50, I'd think about it.
Well,
how about that? You got to have the courage of your convictions, right?
Well, I thought there was something like that in the works. I just wasn't sure where the line was. So it's somewhere above 250. You think?
But I'm consistent. I have never, ever. Alleged that I was anything but selfish. That's why I'm a free market guy,
That's right.
Say fair, let them eat cake.
Did any of your candidates win this time? Anybody you supported win? I mean,
Well, yeah, in the local races, people we supported won, and we wanted the judges to be retained in office.
That's true. That's true, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I voted for Kalen Fretz as a kind of a protest vote. I knew he wouldn't win.
Yeah, he didn't.
Against Jeff Miller.
He didn't win.
That was kind of a free vote. I voted against Bill Nelson because I just didn't want any more Democratic senators up there.
I wouldn't tell too many people that you voted for Connie Mack. I mean, I would not make a public statement about that.
Listen.
Just because you don't like somebody, you vote for an idiot?
Right. Right. Because it's the greater good. The greater good is if you could get rid of some of those Democratic senators, you could kind of choke all this Obama stuff off a bit,
Looks like that's not working out.
So growth of government.
How's that working out for you now, though? Didn't you lose some senators?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys went backwards.
What? No fault of mine. I voted for Connie Mack. It was the only Senate race I could vote in.
Did you put any money on your horse by any chance?
No. I didn't do that. I gave some money in some races. We gave substantially to the justices because I thought that was an injustice.
And our judges, because they were taking a bad hit.
But at what point? I mean, Obama said you don't pay your fair share when the well-off people pay the lion's share. I mean, it's cheesy populism. It's bad for the country. It really is bad for the country. Yeah. And these enormous deficits, borrowing. What do we borrow? Like 30, 40% of the money we spend?
Yeah.
And the government's share of GDP is now up to like 24%. It's outrageous.
It is. Yeah.
And then Obama isn't courageous enough to buck the military. And so what has he done that you really like? What do you like about Obama?
Oh, I like a lot about Obama.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, I do. I think he has a global view for the United States. He does.
Leading by following in Libya, did you like that?
Well, I'll tell you what he did in Libya. He saved probably, 300,000 lives of people over there by just immediately bringing in...
We're yet to see how that's working out.
Well, he had the courage to do it.
How about the surge in Afghanistan?
That was a mistake.
He had the courage to fudge on the Congressional War Powers Act.
Well, the Republicans were screaming and hollering to do something about Libya, So he did it. And then immediately the next day, Newt Gingrich was on national television saying, he didn't. He should never have committed our troops.
Newt's never been burdened with a lot of
we didn't commit troops. It was the air power deal anyway. So
but, I mean, we loved all these dictators until we didn't like them anymore. Well, I mean, we were big friends with Mubarak and even Gaddafi, Hillary Clinton, John McCain. They went over and said, Gaddafi's all right with us. He's a good guy. And he was pretty good to the United States.
What about the latest with Morsi? It's not good, is it?
No, it isn't.
It's ominous to me.
Yeah, a lot of this Arab Spring business is going to turn out. You're going to have one election And then that's about it.
Well, his latest antics, I don't know where it's going.
Nobody could get the court. His justification is, well, the courts in Egypt are full of Mubarak appointees, and they dissolved the parliament, and they did a lot of stuff that's arguably pretty bad. So he just said, you can't challenge anything I say until I allow an election.
Well, they're in the streets as we speak.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
They are in the streets.
They're not happy with that.
And this is a very volatile place. And this Muslim Brotherhood business, it's
a lot of people like them. Look what do you have to choose from over there?
No.
But anywhere where you get these Islamist parties and Sharia law, it's revolting.
It is.
They have blasphemy laws in Pakistan. And what did they do? Some little girl allegedly tore papers out of the Quran.
And they turned out, that was interesting.
They finally turned that around.
Well, not only that, but they had a witness that the guy that made the complaint was actually the one who was burning the pages of it. And she's a retarded girl, apparently, or something. I'm not saying that disparaging a person's intelligence. She was mentally deficient in some respects. And so they found her guilty of blasphemy. And it's pretty scary to think that.
Some politician in Pakistan, and he was allegedly a pretty good guy by Pakistani standards, spoke out against blasphemy laws. He didn't commit blasphemy. He just said we shouldn't have a law. They killed him. That's kind of the way they do it over there.
Do you have any other sanctions that result in death that you'd like to talk about?
Well, we skipped this last time. Judge Roy Moore, the Ten Commandments judge, and I know a lot of people around here like him. They had him out at the Marcus Point Baptist Church where, the first commandments are God's laws above man's laws, except you took an oath to support the Constitution and then you violated it. That's a little bit of a discordant note, but I know they love him around here. He got kicked off of everything. Yeah. But the Alabama voters put him back on. But I think he's kind of done with big monuments to the Ten Commandments.
Well, he moved that big slab into the courthouse up there in Greene County, didn't he? Didn't that big marble slab?
That's what got him in trouble.
That got him in trouble. Yeah.
And I think he's not going to bother with that.
Well, now he's the Chief Justice. But I thought you were going to share some thoughts with us.
Yeah. And we've talked about this
the
before.
Death penalty.
We've got the kind of the sanitized Ten Commandments. There are loads of versions of the Ten Commandments. In the King James Bible, you can read two different versions just in the King James Bible, and then the Hebrews have a version, which is kind of a neat version. And then when you read some of these versions, they're pretty harsh. So what I've assembled here is not just the Ten Commandments, and you can find lots of different versions about not making graven images. I'm not sure what a graven image is, but I think we ought to be allowed to make them. Yeah. But so we've got now, and we could do a whole show on this. I've got loads of stuff, but I thought we'd just talk about the 10 punishments. Good. This comes out of the King James Bible, and there are 10 punishments.
Now, before we do this,
not just the commandments. I mean, what's the penalty associated with the commandments?
People are standing by; they're anxious to hear this. But we have to take a break. Right now.
It's like calling a timeout to get me nervous, right? Like a field goal kicker. I'm ready to do this. No, we'll take a break. That's all right.
We're icing Mr. Rankin. We'll be back here in 30 seconds. Stay with us.
Bye.